Thank you. You are a radiant light. Yes, you are. Hi, my name is Tisha Smith, and I am your official reader today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And the theme for 2024, and the very last time from this podium, I will be saying a grand rising. Grand rising. The theme for December is sticking the landing. Our topic for today is the incredible light of being. A CSL minister, Roger Teal, wrote, "Whenever we shine our light into another's life, it leaves a timeless mark, a lasting radiance. It teaches how we can heal our world. That light, that love are real. Everything else is illusion. Light shared stirs up the embers of compassion, the greatness of the Spirit that is everyone's true gift to this world." Yes. So let us affirm together. I am the light embodied. I radiate. Thank you. Very nice. And I introduce Reverend Dr. Kathleen Johnson. Thank you very much.
So let's see, this month, sticking the landing, we know that's a gymnastics term. You're flying through the air and you land solidly, and we're landing solidly on the foundation of spiritual principles that we've been teaching. And we also have been using the elements, air, earth, water, fire. You know, I think I might continue with that one on fire, about hearts ablaze for the third week. Do you think that sounds good? Just kidding. Today is about the light. Those of you who have not been here the last 2 weeks may not know what I'm talking about, but anyway, we'll just let that be. So think about this. What would have happened if there were 3 women who followed the star of light instead of 3 wise men? So 3 wise women instead of 3 wise men. So here's what I'm thinking might have happened. First of all, they would have asked for directions, and then they would have arrived on time, and they would have brought practical gifts. And in addition to that, because they arrived on time, they would help to deliver the baby, right? And make a nourishing meal. And in addition to that, set up a college fund for the baby in swaddling clothes. So this beautiful thing about light, then it was the star of light, but since ancient times, in times of darkness, the darkest time of year, which is what we're in right now, there has been this desire to celebrate the light and to call in the light. And so we see this idea of light, illumination, brilliance, luminosity, enlightenment present in all of the world traditions, all of the spiritual traditions. And when mystics have these experiences of enlightenment, they talk about actually seeing everything as light, and the brilliance just blowing their minds. And I know that this thing called enlightenment can seem elusive at times, and yet I declare and I know with each and every one of you that you all have had luminous, enlightened moments, or maybe even having it right now. And that's when we are fully and completely and solidly aware of who we are in truth, that we are that light of the divine, and that we are here for a purpose, to spread that light and to spread that love and that peace and that joy and all of that goodness that we are. Those are moments of enlightenment when we feel that connection with somebody else. And we just, I know I have these moments where I'm just bursting with love and I just want to hug everybody. Anybody else have that feeling sometimes? I see some heads shaking, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just got to hug somebody. I know. Chasing people in my family around the room. See, I have somebody here witness, Michelle. Probably oh, by the way, this is my sister, everybody. This is my sister, Marcia, who's here visiting from Florida. And some of you know her because she's been in classes on Zoom. You may know her, so it's an opportunity to connect with her after service. So the psalmist talks about walking through the valley of the shadow of death. You know, I think of that as the darkness and as a great metaphor for those dark nights of the soul moments that we've all experienced at one time or another. And the psalmist says, we walk. The psalmist doesn't say we stop and build a condo of misery there, right? We keep walking. We keep walking. And therefore, as we keep walking, and we do that with our spiritual practice, we do that with spiritual fellowship, we do that with spiritual study, you know, signing up for those classes and staying connected with spiritual truth and with people who are also on the same path, and miracles start happening. And those moments that felt so dark begin to be replaced with the light, the spirit that is within us. So we keep walking. And the Taoists view the energy of darkness as yin, that partners with, you know, it's all swirled together, that partners with the light of yang, and the two work together to burst new life. The creative process requires something that we know, a contrast. There's a contrast, you know, we can call that the darkness, that spurs on, activates new ideas. Oh, well, this could be the solution. This is what I could do. So as we understand who we are, that we are beings of light, then those things which seem to be the darkness are not as scary, because we know there is an infinite well of light within us that cannot be extinguished. It can maybe be covered over by a bushel basket for a little while, but we can take off that bushel basket and shine our lights. And I love that even scientists have found out that we are made of light. I believe it was Fritz Popp who was the first scientist that was able to discover that we were made of light, could actually measure light in his subjects. So light. So again, the candles and the lights of Hanukkah, of Advent, of Diwali, of Bodhi Day, of Kwanzaa, you know, you name all the different religions in the world, and also I'm thinking of the fires of the indigenous tribes. They have all their ceremonials around a community fire. The beauty and the grace and the wonder of light itself inspires us. And Ernest Holmes actually says, if spiritual mind treatment could be seen, it would appear as a pathway of light. I remember years ago, there was a minister who was telling the story when I was part of a center years ago of someone who was in a serious automobile accident and had left her body. And all of a sudden she saw this stream of light coming toward her. and she popped right back into her body again. So she realized that stream of light was somebody praying and supporting her. So so many beautiful images of light that I've had throughout my spiritual experience, and so I am so rooted and grounded in this idea that we are light, that we are light in form. You know, it seems like it's collapsed into this thing that's very solid, but in truth, we are these amazing beings of light. And enlightenment, therefore, is a subtractive process. It's not an additive process. It's a subtractive process of letting go of what is in the way of shining that light. So I want to illustrate. There's a beautiful story that I found online. I love these online stories. But the author was talking about years ago, he was on a crosstown bus going in New York City during rush hour. Anybody been in New York City during rush hour? Even when it's not rush hour. So the bus is loaded with very cold, it's in the winter, holiday season, very cold, tired people and irritable people, and two men arguing with each other because one thought the other one shoved the other person. And so this arguing and this nastiness and this irritation just going on, really thick. And a pregnant woman walks onto the bus and nobody offers her a seat. I mean, there's like no mercy to be found anywhere on the bus. So in the midst of all of this, the bus driver gets on the intercom and says, "Folks, I know you've had a rough day and you feel frustrated. I can't do anything about the traffic, but here is what I can do. As each one of you gets off the bus, I will reach out my hand, palm up, and I want you to drop your troubles, all your problems in my hand as you exit the bus. As you come to your stop, drop them in my hand. And so that means you don't take your problems home to your families, but you leave them here with me. And because my bus route goes by the Hudson River, I will open the window, I will reach out, and I will drop it in the Hudson River." And so, as you can imagine, there was a burst of laughter. All these grouchy people were now laughing and turning to each other and asking each other, is he serious? Is he really serious about, anyway, they're all wondering. So he was serious. At the next stop, he held out his hand, and one by one, the people who left mimed dropping their problems in his hand as they exited the bus. Some were teary, and some were laughing, but they all did it. And with each successive bus stop, people did the same. So apparently the author was on all the way to the end because he was, talking about how this was unfolding and how beautiful it was. And so on and on and on, and then finally the dropping of it in the water, letting it go. That's the subtractive process we're talking about. Enlightenment is a subtract. And notice how light the bus got as soon as he offered to be the person who took away their troubles. Lighthearted, laughing instead of grumpy and grouchy and nasty and mean with each other. So we live in a world, I get it, that can be truly very difficult at times. And we can run into people who are in those kinds of moods. And maybe we're in those kinds of moods sometimes. And so sometimes we have a bad day, and sometimes those bad days can last for years. I get that. That's the dark night of the soul. I have walked that path before. And yes, we may lose jobs, money, friends, faith, and feel like we're losing love. And we may witness horrible events taking place on the news, and even become fearful and withdrawn at times in the midst of all of that. So there are times when things seem so difficult that we wonder if we can have a Merry Christmas. And yet, what if we are the answer to a Merry Christmas, which I know we are, and you know we are? What if we can be the light that lightens up the situation and that makes a difference? Like the bus driver. I mean, think about it. He was a bus driver. He was not a social media savvy influencer. He was not a power broker. He was not a spiritual leader. He was a bus driver. Anybody can do this. That's the bottom line, right? So, we can be the spirit of Christmas, and let's do that right now. There's something we can do in this very moment, and I wrote about this. I've been doing this actually every day for over a month with my prayer partner out in California, Reverend Abigail Albert. We decided that we were going to make a difference on a daily basis in a really big way. And this is something that John Randolph Price actually wrote about in one of his books some time ago. And that is, we can turn within and close our eyes. And then just repeat after me and focus on your heart as you do this. I radiate with intensity the light of my divine self. I radiate with intensity the light of my divine self. I radiate with intensity the light of my divine self. Now, imagine this beautiful, brilliant light rising up out of your heart. It's infinite. It's an infinite source. Rising up out of your heart, and together we're filling up the room with this light. It's coursing through us. It's coursing all around us. It's bumping up against the walls and the ceiling. And then suddenly it bursts forth and begins to spread around York Lynn. Beyond that, taking up Newcastle County, the state of Delaware, and the tri-state area, and moving and going across the ocean and south and north and east, west, all directions, and just like a huge tsunami wave of love and light surrounding the entire planet. And notice that as it goes all the way around, it activates all of these lights, which are individualized beings of light all over the planet, all of these beautiful beings of light, whether they are human or whether they are animals or plants. Everything is lit up, brilliant, bright, luminous. And so then that wave, it continues to pass itself and come around and wash right over us. And we can feel the intensity and the transforming power of that light. Wow. I'm vibrating right now like crazy. Feel that light and that love of the Spirit, for that is what you are. There's a power that transforms anything unlike itself. We are that light. And so my call to you is to be that incredible light of being. Let's put our hands over our hearts, giving thanks for this opportunity to experience the light that we are. And let's together say, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, my friends.
I think it's the podium mic.